Hello and welcome to the Evercade Retreat. My name is Gene Joke and today I'm ranking and reviewing the games from the Jaleco Arcade Collection Volume 1 for the Evercade. As yet this is the only Jaleco Arcade Collection, however there is a console collection which I will get around to reviewing at some point. As usual, I'll rank the games from my least favourite to my favourite, and this is an old cart, it's been out for a while, I'm not really going to give much preamble, so let's get straight on with the ranking. So in last place is P-47 The Phantom Fighter. This is a horizontally scrolling shoot 'em up from 1988, set in World War II, and you control a P-47 Phantom Fighter. Strange that. It's a fairly bog standard horizontal shoot 'em up in World War II arcade game fashion. Most of the weapons and power ups are fairly standard stuff. They're, I suppose, a bit more grounded in reality than say some of your later military style shoot 'em ups. No screen clearing stuff here. It is your standard bullets, your missiles, your bombs, and what have you. The graphics are quite nice, at least the sprites are pretty good. They're nothing special, but pretty good for 1988, I think. However, the backgrounds are rather drab and bland. I mean, they can look nice, but they're sort of a little bit lacking in detail or variety. And that also goes for the enemies as well. Although they look nice and there's some reasonable sized bosses, there is a lot of repetition on that as well. And that's generally the theme of this review. The game just feels a bit repetitive. It needed a bit more to really stand out. And it's bottom of the pile because it's just a decidedly average shoot 'em up. And next up on the list is Psy Battler, a vertically scrolling shoot 'em up from 1993, in which you control a mech or mecha, and you vertically scroll up the screen with shooting in multiple directions and take out the aliens or whatever it is that you're fighting. The graphics are fantastic, the music is really good. Visually, it is a fantastic game, and I almost feel I'm doing it disservice putting it down here on the list. And ultimately it's because I just don't really gel with the game. It might be the difficulty, it might be the controls, although I think the controls are well done. It is a multi-directional shooter. If you're holding your fire, you will keep firing in that direction. If you stop firing and move in the direction, you'll shoot in the direction you're firing. That's fine, and you've got the sword attacks, and again, it all works fine, but between the difficulty and, again, there's just something that doesn't quite sit right and gel with me, and I couldn't really get into it. I was kept waiting for myself to get in the flow of it, or to really get the feel for the game and start enjoying it. And I was battling like that through the whole game, and it is a tough game. Even coin feeding, it's a challenge because of where it sets you back to when you die. I had to use save states to see the end of the game because I was getting a bit frustrated, not making much progress. Again, if I had found that I had gelled with the game more, maybe I would have gotten better at it, but again, it was just a case of I was either going to stop playing it or save state abuse to see the end. It's perfectly fine. It's a good game. There's a lot to like about it, but just something didn't sit right for me. And moving on to the next game, which is Avenging Spirit. Released in 1991, it's a side-scrolling platformer which stands out from basically you control a spirit. Your character is already dead at the beginning of the game, and you can possess enemies to take control of them, effectively giving you a large number of different characters with different abilities and movement speeds and everything to play through and give you a variety of gameplay styles. Not all these enemies are equal. Some are just downright awful and you get the wrong one at the wrong time, and it'll make things more difficult. Some will jump much higher, some will move more slowly, or have ranged attacks, or have melee attacks, or be throwing weapons, and it gives a really good variety of gameplay. However, because of the variety, and I suppose making them stand out from each other, the actual movement often feels quite sluggish, and some of the level design, it's alright, it's a perfectly fine game, it is good, but I just found myself wishing it played a little bit better. You've got good cartoony visuals, some good sounds, and an interesting game. It stands out, it's unique, but I'd say it falls short of greatness, but there's a good fun game here. And next up we have the Astyanax, a 1989 side-scrolling hack-and-slash platform game, sort of in the vein of your Rastan or maybe Legendary Axe. You take your blonde hero and his big axe and you fight through all sorts of enemies, defeat an evil wizard, fight some aliens, weirdly. And it's fairly straightforward stuff. It's pretty good fun. Got some nice, bold, colourful graphics, some quite impressive music, and the gameplay, it's solid. When you attack, use up your energy bar, so subsequent attacks, if you do them too quickly, before it refills, will be weaker. So there's a little bit of strategy there. I don't think it really benefits the game any there. You can pick up magic to use, and yeah, it's a good fun hack and slash game, and I've always had a soft spot for this type of game, so this might be higher up in my ranking than it would be for other people's. But yeah, it's a solid game, definitely one that's worth a play, although once you've finished the game and seen it all through, you probably won't come back to it very often. But if, like me, you like things like Rastan, you'll probably have a lot of fun with this one. And next up we have 64th Street, a detective story, released in 1991. Despite being a slightly unusual title for a side-scrolling beat-em-up, that's exactly what it is. You take control of a private investigator, or one of two if you're playing two-player, and you have to go and rescue one of the guy's girlfriends from some evil organisation. One is big and strong, and one is faster and not quite as strong. Fairly standard stuff, and the only thing that really stands out gameplay wise in this game is the throwing, where being able to throw your enemies into the background and damage things and get more items to pick up or health pickups. That's about it. Otherwise it's a pretty standard side-scrolling beat 'em up. Certainly quite a fun game, especially in multiplayer. Graphically, I don't like the way it looks. It's the art style, the look of the characters, the colour palette used. It's just not visually appealing, but everything's well done. It's just, it certainly doesn't look as good as a Capcom or Konami beat 'em up. The sound is absolutely fine, some quite distinctive music. Some of the sound effects get quite annoying. It's an absolutely solid game, one of the better side-scrolling beat 'em ups on the Evercade. And next up we have Saints Dragon, a horizontally scrolling shoot 'em up from 1989. In this case you control a dragon, or rather a cybernetic dragon, and what makes this game unique from other horizontally scrolling shoot 'em ups is it's only the head of your dragon that takes damage. The tail is invulnerable, so you have to maneuver the tail and you can use it to protect yourself or cause damage to enemies. Graphically, it's a very good game. Certainly the sprites anyway. The backgrounds can be a little bit bland in places or repetitive. There's not as much detail as there is on, say, something like R-Type, but again, it's very good. The music is solid and the sound effects are suitably meaty and impactful. Actually, I love the way the game sounds, to be honest. Gameplay wise, it's brutally tough. It's possibly the hardest shoot 'em up on the Evercade, and I don't say that lightly. It is horrendously tough. Maybe I just need to get good, but I've played this game a lot, and I haven't played it for a while when I got this footage. My skills in this footage is absolutely terrible. I will blame that on not having slept much in the last week, but I have completed the game and it took an awful lot of doing. I would actually say this is probably more difficult than the Psy Battler, but it's also more intuitive and more fun in my opinion. It's also a game I've got nostalgia for. I really liked it on the ZX Spectrum, playing it back in the day, and I played it in the arcade, I think on the Amiga as well. So a bit of a nostalgia pick, maybe balancing out the difficulty a bit there. But still a very good shoot 'em up. And moving on, next we have Rodland from 1990. It's an elimination platformer where you control a fairy or two fairies if you're a multiplayer, and you have to grab enemies with your magic wands, slam them about, collect the items on a level, and move on to the next level, rinse and repeat. The way your attacks work is fairly unique, but a little bit cumbersome at first. You also have a ladder mechanic where you can spawn a magic ladder, but you can only have one on screen at a time to get to reach platforms you might not otherwise be able to reach. And your fairies can't jump, so you have to use ladders to get from platform to platform or drop down and float. It has bright, colourful graphics, and the music really suits the vibe it's going for. It's a very charming game, easy to get into, and you'll find if you gel with this sort of game, you'll probably have a lot of fun with it. If elimination platformers aren't your jam, you'll probably have it right down on your ranking. Overall, it's a good fun game, and there's essentially two games in one. You'll play through it, get to the end, and then you unlock another mode which you can play through, and then you get the final boss. It's a good game, one of the better of its type on the Evercade. And finally, my favourite game on the collection is EDF, or Earth Defence Force. Anyway, released in 1991, you control a space pilot fighter ship and you're facing off against the aliens attacking Earth. Fairly straightforward stuff and ideal for a horizontally scrolling shoot 'em up. You've got some fantastic music which really suits the gameplay. You've also got some really nice graphics, both the enemy design and the backgrounds. Absolutely nothing to complain about with the visuals. The gameplay, while not the most initially exciting shoot 'em up, the first level can seem a little bit bland at first, but once you've get to the mid-boss and then the final boss of the first level, and you start to really have some fun, and then it does start getting quite brutally difficult further in. But given that you restart where you die when you well, when you die and you restart exactly where you were, whether it's through losing a life or start using a continue, it's very manageable to coin feed your way through, and maybe then take a bit of time to, hone your skills and work towards maybe doing a 1cc clear. Something I'm very far away from doing at the moment. Saying that, I've gotten a fair chunk through it. Now, the Super Nintendo version of this is on the Jaleco console collection, and I think I slightly prefer that version overall. But they are both very good, and obviously there are differences. There's more weapons on the console version, but the graphics are better on the arcade, and there's a few bit of differences here and there. But overall, it's a really good fun horizontally scrolling shoot 'em up, and while perhaps not the best on the Evercade, it's definitely, in the upper echelons of horizontally scrolling shoot 'em ups, on the Evercade at least. So looking at the collection as a whole, you've got 8 games on here, and none of them are terrible. P-47 The Phantom Fighter, being my least favourite, is probably quite a bit below the next one up. And again, even that's not terrible, it's just decidedly average. Thing is, none of them are exceptional, I don't think. There's nothing that rivals, your R-Types or your Batzigans. There's nothing rivals a Final Fight or what have you. They're all solid games, and some are very good. But I don't think anything quite hits levels of being excellent or fantastic. Again, opinions will vary, and I'm sure many people have their games ranked in a different priority than this. But yeah, it's a very good collection, some very tough games, and if I'd had to score it between the balance of the number of games and the overall solid quality, I would give it an 8 out of 10. But this is more for the overall solidness of the collection rather than there being 1 or 2 games that really stand out and shine. I'd say at best some of the games here are 8 out of 10 games. There's nothing truly exceptional. But I think I've basically already said that. So it's another solid arcade collection. You can't really go wrong with this one. There's a bit of everything. So yeah, a solid 8 out of 10 collection, as I said. Well worth picking up. As usual, I'll leave out the video playing some stupid song made with AI. Watch or don't, entirely up to you.
In the shadows where I dwell, I'm the whisper, I'm the knell. Fallen once, but here I rise with vengeance burning in my eyes. I am the avenging spirit. 'Cause in my death you were complacent. I am the ghost within your soul. In your dreams I take control. Feel my wrath in every breath. I am the spirit, I am your death. Through the darkness, hear my cry. Feel the chill when I pass by. Haunting memories, you can't flee. I'm the echo of your cruelty. I am the avenging spirit. 'Cause in my death you were complacent. I am the ghost within your soul. In your dreams I take control. Feel my wrath in every breath. I am the spirit, I am your death. You can run, but you can't hide. I am the storm you hold inside. Possess your mind, control your fear. Know that I am always near. I am the avenging spirit. 'Cause in my death you were complicit. I am the ghost within your soul. In your dreams I take control. Feel my wrath in every breath. I am the spirit, I am your death. So remember every sin. Feel the chill beneath your skin. For the vengeance that I seek will be yours and you shall weep. I am the avenging spirit. 'Cause in my death you were